Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO at checkout.
The kettle's boiled, Vic.
Great. Perfect timing. Just a dash of milk for me, please, mate.
Here you go. Shall we get started then?
Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning and said, I'm never drinking again, and then found yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour?
Are you wondering why everyone else can stop at 1 while you head to a dodgy after-party with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a deeper look at your relationship with your reliable social crutch, alcohol.
On each episode, we'll investigate our own dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out if it's possible to stop this deeply ingrained habit before things get too messy.
Yep, we're going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up from a booze coma each weekend with a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health.
Hamish and I are here to delve into what it's like being sober, an unwanted warts and all look into why giving up those cheeky pints or putting down those mummy wines will make you feel happier, help your anxiety and mental health, and turn you into the most sparkly, authentic version of you.
Won't that mean I become boring though, Vic?
Well, Hamish, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone.
I'm Hamish Adams-Cairns.
And this is Sober Awkward.
Today's guest is Kelly Andrews, a psychotherapist and trauma therapist with over 20 years of experience working with individuals navigating the complexities of trauma, mental health, and addiction. She is also, not that it's a prerequisite to be on the podcast, a self-confessed ex-hardcore party girl of the 90s and 2000s with stories and regrets that will make our eyes water. We will leave those stories and regrets unsaid today, Kelly, given the professionalism of your job, but I'm just going to trust you, based on your email, that there are some stories to tell. Maybe we will get into them off recording, because I feel like I want to discuss them. But specifically, Kelly is here to help us better understand the connection between trauma and over-drinking. What role does it play? And more importantly, how can we overcome it? So welcome to the podcast, Kelly Andrews.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Kelly, I mentioned just before we started that I'm in a bit of a trauma research rabbit hole at the moment. So this episode could not be more timely. I'm going to ask all of the questions that the books and podcasts are not answered yet. So I've just finished reading The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I've also listened to him on all of the podcasts just because I love the sound of his voice. And he's, from what I can tell from that book, that seems to be, I describe it as the Bible of trauma. I might be way off. It's the only book I've read on trauma, but it seems to be getting it pretty right.
Yeah, it's the kind of go-to if you want to start somewhere to learn a little bit about trauma and your own as well, because it's quite an easy read, isn't it? It's a really great place to start. I'm a big fan.
Okay, I'm glad I haven't put my foot in it immediately. And no, that's shit. Everyone in the industry knows it's rubbish. Okay, good. I suppose the logical place to start would be with what is your definition of trauma? Because I know it's slightly different for different people.
Okay, so trauma is like an emotional and physiological response to an event or a series of events that somebody experiences as deeply distressing or threatening, and these experiences overwhelm. So they're unmanageable and they overwhelm you. So I think the key thing to take away is that trauma is not the event. Trauma is not the thing that happens. Trauma is what happens inside of you after the event. So that's why it's so subjective. So what's traumatizing to one person isn't traumatizing to another, because it's around what happens inside of you after the event, whether that's one or multiple, has happened. So I kind of describe it as like, like a burn on your arm. Mm-hmm. So most people can't see the burn on your arm. So you're kind of walking around, doing your thing with this kind of wound or burn on your arm. And that's the trauma. And most of the time it's kind of just sitting there. But if I come along and go, hey, Hamish, and give you a whack on the arm, you're like, and it's activated. And that's kind of how we think of as a trigger. So well-meaning things can kind of rub up against that wound and spiral you into feelings and thoughts that are really uncomfortable and overwhelming to manage.
I think that is, if anything, the most important part of this entire interview, because I feel like anyone who is suffering with over drinking or alcohol addiction will often look back at their life and go, I don't understand. I don't even have any trauma. Yeah, sure, I had a bad breakup when I was 11, or I might have something which is seemingly a throwaway activity or event in someone's life. That can't be a trauma. Yeah. But like you said, it's people's reaction to it, which is the trauma rather than the event itself. Not everyone's been involved in a car crash or something that's dramatic or clearly a traumatic event.
Yeah, exactly. And so many people come to therapy with an issue. So they'll say, I'm really angry and I don't know why. Or I'm really anxious, or I'm chronically people pleasing, or I'm a perfectionist. And I say, is there a trauma history? And they say, no, I was fed, I was clothed, we went on holiday twice a year. And then you kind of start to unpick and you find, actually, I wasn't able to show up as myself. My parents, for whatever reason, weren't emotionally available to me, and I had to hide my true self. And then you kind of go, okay, well, there it is. Let's explore that. There it is.
Do you call it out? Do you go, that's the trauma? Or do people feel guarded or defensive when they're labelled someone who's living with a trauma?
I think it depends on the individual. Some people experience it as really validating, and it's like a penny's dropped, and then they can start to do the process and do the work. Some people are very guarded, and you might just unpick very gently. So a lot of people come to therapy very scared that I'm going to start having a go at their parents.
Always. I remember my first session, but I wonder how long till they ask me about my parents.
Yeah, and they're like, my mum's great, okay? Don't even start with that. And it's not, so I always make really clear, it's not about blaming your parents, but we can acknowledge the hurt whilst not blaming them. So the hurt is still hurt, whether we demonise them or not. People are generally, except in incidents, obviously, of abuse or severe neglect, people are generally doing the best that they can with the resources that they have, whether that's emotional, mental, physical, and sometimes those resources just aren't enough. Yeah. And that's kind of what we start to look at and unpick.
Well, so many of the guests that I've interviewed on this podcast, or just people that I've met in the sober community, use alcohol as a kind of solution to the daily consequences of trauma. It's this toxic, short-term thing that seems to quieten the noise, at least at first. So what is it about alcohol, and overdrinking in particular, that seems to fit so well as a means of dealing with trauma? Like, they seem to be created for each other, which seems to be why so many people fall into this trap.
Yeah, totally. And I think that what you said there is completely right and completely perfect. Alcohol or drugs or sex or cake or whatever it is you're addicted to, it's not the problem. That isn't the problem. It's the solution. It's a really toxic solution that will completely ruin your life in the end if it goes to extreme. But it's solving something. So I think when we're talking about trauma and alcohol use, instead of saying, why are you drinking? We need to be saying, why are you in pain? Why do you so fundamentally unlike yourself? What feelings are you trying to escape? And then we might be able to get to the core of why people are drinking. So in answer to your question, which I sort of swerved and didn't answer, so trauma, especially in early life, disrupts normal brain development. So if you have exposure to stress, like cortisol, the brain neurotransmitter systems are impacted. So what alcohol does, it's going to enhance the calming nervous system neurotransmitters and inhibit your excite transmitters. So what it basically does is it just takes everything down. So if you're living with symptoms of PTSD, anxiety, or just that kind of inner critical voice, alcohol is going to vary temporarily, just turn it down. So, you have those 1, 2, 3, 10 drinks sometimes, and the inner voice telling you that you're not good enough is silent temporarily. Those kind of, whatever you're going through, that gnawing feeling in your chest, that kind of knot in your stomach, it's just dialed down. So it's kind of a beautifully toxic relationship between the two. Well, very temporarily takes the edge off, and if you're experiencing shame, which most people with trauma do, it lessens that shame, of course, until the next day when it's doubled. So that's when you get that really horrible cycle of, I need the alcohol to take the edge off, but the alcohol's making the edge worse and worse and worse. And that's where people get into that cycle.
You touched on something there, which we're actually in the process of writing an episode about, which is this idea of our sort of maturing or growing up, or logical continuation of our age pausing when we begin to overdrink. Is there an element of sort of, we hit whatever age it is that you become a heavy drinker and we no longer grow up, we're stuck at that age and that stage of our life?
A little, sure. So I think around that key age when a lot of people, well, they did, I don't know if they still do, hopefully not, but sort of 15, 16, when people have their first drink, is when you're learning to sit with difficult feelings, really difficult feelings, because that's a time when you're really developing and going through these key parts of development. And what we do is we have alcohol then. So if you're shy, the way to get through that shyness is you have alcohol, and suddenly I'm an extrovert. So many people think they're extroverts, give up drinking, and they're like, or moderate drinking, and they're like, actually, I'm an introvert. How have I hidden that for 30 years? Because alcohol is inhibiting all of those, makes you myopic. It's inhibiting those things. So I think instead of sitting with feelings, instead of processing, we numb them. So we become adults that can't sit with our feelings and process them. We do something to take it away. So you get to 30, 40 and you've not learned how to sit with your feelings and process them because you've got a coping mechanism all lined up.
Working in this field, something you've done for over 20 years, specifically trauma and helping people with addictions, was there an element of you trying to heal yourself? Was your own drinking related to a trauma and you thought, I'm going to throw myself into this as a career to sort of heal myself and then see if I can help others?
I mean, yes and no, to be honest. And I think as with most people my age, it was just what you did. There wasn't a thought of, because I was an incredibly shy young person. I think these days we would probably call it social anxiety. I was very quiet and very introverted, and I found kind of putting myself out there painfully difficult to do. And then, at 15, 16, there was this magic little thing that just took that away, and then I was able to kind of go out and be quite sociable, and suddenly I was the life and soul of the party, which wasn't really who I was. I was a shy, awkward 15, 16-year-old. But I don't think I knew that until sort of much later into my sort of 30s, when I had a child myself, that actually I was using alcohol to mask something that was just very naturally who I was, that I didn't like. Mm-hmm. And I think so many people are doing, but we have this culture that is like, hey, everyone's got a story of when they were 15 and they drank 7 beers and were sick. Everyone's got that story, and no one says, you shouldn't have that story. You shouldn't be so out of control that you were that ill. But we've all got one and we all share it and we all go, oh yeah. And then we go to university and there's posters on the wall of people passed out in a toilet and they say, come to this party. Although that's maybe the local.
That's a party I want to go to.
That's the party, yeah. We all say, sign me up, I'm 18 and we're home and this is the life. So yes and no. I loved psychology from as long as I can remember and wanted to do that. But did I think it was a means to work through what I was avoiding? Probably not so much later.
So when you did then sort of moderate or give up your drinking, did you then meet the shy, awkward version of yourself again in your mid-30s and go, oh, this is who I was without alcohol? How was that meeting?
Yeah, I mean, when I had my daughter, I think for me that those party days were well and truly over. I think much to the relief of quite a lot of people around me. Because I was 35, I probably should have hung the stilettos up long ago. But yeah, and I enjoyed different things. I really enjoy now going for a walk with a dog and going for tea with my friends, as opposed to, like, you wouldn't get me in a nightclub now for any money in the world. And I think that's because maybe in parties, I didn't actually like them that much. I just thought that I did. And I was kind of having a few drinks to get over this. Oh, I'm at a party and I'm quite shy and I don't know how to mingle. I don't really know how to do that. And actually, I think as you get older and you accept these things about yourself, you just go, well, all right.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm an introverted extrovert. I'll bring it when I need to. But actually, I'm going to embrace that alone time and enjoying the quieter parts of life.
I wonder what percentage of people in the world drink in order to get over the difficulty of mingling or schmoozing. Those are two things which are not easy or fun to do. No matter how experienced you are, mingling or schmoozing are like skin crawling.
15, come on.
Yeah, 15 when you're a bit self-conscious. Really awful.
So and this is just for your, sorry, I'm doing air quotes which people can't see. This is just for your average teen, not someone that's grown up with neglect, narcissistic parenting, abuse. If you throw that on top, that person's going to have gnawing, unbearable feelings and feelings of absolute self-loathing, and they're going to drink as medicine, not just as lubrication. So it's an added layer that I think really needs to be considered.
Well, that is something that Bessel van der Kolk talks about. He mentions the fact that those that live with trauma have a constant basis level of being stuck in the fight or flight response. That can create an underlying sense of discomfort, stress, or emptiness that many try and obviously numb with alcohol. Do you think it's possible for anyone to fully deal with and process a trauma whilst still drinking excessively? Is moderation the bare minimum and sobriety the sweet spot? Like, can anyone deal with these things while still using some sort of alcohol or drug?
I would say it's a good place to start. So if you're drinking really, really heavily, I wouldn't want anyone to think I won't seek therapeutic support because I'm drinking really heavily. I think that's probably a really good time to seek therapeutic support. I wouldn't see someone if they were intoxicated in the room, of course, because they're probably not going to remember the session, for one thing, and it's not safe. But I think if someone's very heavily drinking and it feels too much, too big, giving up drinking or moderating their drinking is this huge thing that they can't possibly conceive of, that's probably the time to seek therapeutic support, because that's the time that you can start to unpick. Okay, what are you numbing? What feels unbearable? What have you put in a tiny box inside your gut and not let out? Let's have a look at that. And then the two can kind of meet over time. I think it's dangerous to kind of say get sober and then get therapy, because you might never be able to get there.
Do people come in and see you and go, get me sober? And you go, right, let's have a look at your life? Or is it, I've got all sorts of issues, one of which is over drinking? Is it the other way around, that you sort of deal with the trauma and then they happen to figure out that maybe stopping drinking alcohol might be a good idea?
Yeah, or people often don't know that they're excessively drinking alcohol and that that's not helping. Mm-hmm. So, people will come to me with their issue. It's often relationship breakdown or patterns. My relationship always takes this pattern. Why does my relationship always take this pattern? And then we have a look at, okay, let's look at why. Let's look at the traumatic roots of that. And then sometimes reducing alcohol is a symptom. Because I will also give people things to do at home, journaling, breathing exercises, movement activities, because trauma is also stored in the body, as I'm sure you read in the Van der Kolk.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
And one of those will always be to look at somebody's substance use, whatever it is, or any kind of addictive behaviour and say, okay, you're really anxious. Is it worse after you've had a heavy night out? And then start to kind of unravel it. I think the key is to be very non-judgmental.
Yes, well, I was going to say, that is such a difficult thing to subscribe. You know, you have to sort of ask the questions and let them figure out for themselves. Because in my experience, anyone that gets told to stop drinking, the defences come straight up and they hold it very close to themselves and they start abusing you and say, no, that's not the problem. Barry, who lives down the road, is worse than me. So I guess it's a sensitive subject that you must have tried to sort of perfect. So I know lots of people reach out to us and go, my partner drinks too much and how do I tell them not to? You have probably been in that situation with your patients over and over again. Is there a trick to it? Is there a sort of secret recipe that we need to know about? How to tell someone to stop drinking without telling them to stop drinking?
I'm afraid no, I don't have the equation.
Damn.
I think, it's exactly as you said. It's not my job to tell anybody what to do about anything. You are the expert in your life, not me. I'm here to help you work through asking the questions and getting the answers. So I might ask you some questions, but really, I'm not that interested in how much you're drinking and when you're drinking. I'm interested in what hurts, because if we can I'm not going to rip your solution away without trying to put some foundations down as to a different solution. How can we get some self-compassion? How can we get some realistic self-view instead of this self-loathing that you carry around all the time? If we can work on that, then the other stuff might feel a little bit easier. But I think no one's ever healed or changed their behaviour because of more shame. So I think what we are tempted to do is get pictures out of livers and go, this is what you're doing to yourself, or line up the bottles and say, this is all the wine you drank last week, and put more shame on somebody that's probably drinking to escape shame in the first place. I feel like that response never bodes well. I don't know if you've had any other. Tell me.
You're reminding me of the Johan Hari TED talk when he talked about that. He spoke about the fact everyone sort of goes, this is your ultimatum, and if you don't stop drinking now, you're never going to speak to your kids again. And it's just, that's the opposite of the way to do it. The way is to sort of approach it with love and acceptance rather than heaping on more shame to try and get them to change their ways that way. But yeah, I think you're spot on. That seems to be the only solution, is no judgment, treat it with love, ask questions, don't tell them what to do. And hope for the best. It's the hardest question that I have ever been asked by a listener, and I get asked it all the time. It's my husband or my wife overdrinks. What do I do? I don't know. It's not my place to give advice. I haven't got any of the professional credentials that you do. But yeah, it's just people feel trapped. People feel trapped and afraid and don't know what to do. We always sort of just say don't drink yourself. Maybe get alcohol out of the house and try and set an example that way. But it's a tough one.
It is. And be curious, I guess. Be curious about what's going on. Are you okay? How do you feel day to day? What's going on in your inner world is probably a good place to start. And, there is hope. I think that's the thing, that people that are chronically drinking feel that things are hopeless. They kind of can't live with it and they can't live without it. But there is hope that people can feel better. And if we start from a place of positivity, that can sometimes have more impact than a place of negativity.
Dr. Gabor Mate explained He said the question is not why the addiction, but why the pain. He's actually in Australia, I think now, next month, for an exciting time. Vic, I know, is going to go see him. What percentage of the clients that you see with an addiction do you think are living with a trauma? You know, is it 99% of the time? Is it not as regular as that? I interviewed someone recently who almost felt like a fraud because she was like, I had no trauma. I had a wonderful upbringing, but I was a horrible alcoholic. So, you know, is it more often than not? What's your experience of it?
I think it's that thing that everyone that's been traumatized is not going to have a problem with alcohol. And everybody that's got a problem with alcohol is not going to have been traumatized. You know, I'm a psychotherapist. I see people with all different types of presentations. Some come to me using alcohol, some don't. What the exact percentage is, I'm honestly not sure. I have to do some research on what that is. But it's certainly a coping mechanism that I've seen many people use. More so than anything else, I think. Because it's so normalised and because it's so instant and you can get it from the corner shop. And there's this kind of, you know, alcohol use can be really quite posh and bougie as well. You know, you can have £100 bottle of wine with your steak and then it's this, you know, elitist thing. There's so many to it that you don't get with other substances. So it's a coping mechanism that one can justify really, really easily. And I think that's the bit that makes it additionally difficult.
We often talk about the real work starting once you give up alcohol, and that real work is around facing up, discovering and healing your why. What effectively led you to drinking in the first place? If I'm listening to this episode and I'm either still in the thick of my addiction or I'm recently sober and looking for advice on how to heal, what actionable strategies would you recommend I could use to manage, you know, trauma-related stress or cravings or all of the awful things that come with those early days of sobriety?
I think first of all, seek out something that's very specific to alcohol use. If you've given up or you're trying to moderate, find something that's like the program that you guys have, some quit literature. My friends that are sober, one of them gave up on her own and she just read like 100 books and absorbed in it, and that was just life changing for her. And get a community. You know, we're wounded in relationship and we heal in relationship. So if you can get a community of people around you, that's a really positive step. Journal, because journaling is going to support you to start to understand what you're feeling. So it starts to help you understand what's happening in your body. It starts to have, you know, the feelings you get before you want to drink, the feelings you get the next day, and you can look back and it gives you a really reflective space. And seek support if you can, seek therapeutic support. You might be able to get support from your local, I don't know what you have in Australia. Here we have NHS, but, you know, see a doctor to see what's available to you. You can access a private therapist. Amazing. Seek therapy as soon as you can, really. People often think that you have to be in the midst of a mental health crisis to seek a therapist, but I think therapy is kind of the ultimate self-care. Seek therapy when you're not in your darkest days, and then if you ever get there, you've got some tools to work through. And if you are in your darkest days, it's not too late. No one's going to judge you or shame you. Therapists are going to want to listen to your story and be very honoured to be part of it.
You also mentioned breathing exercise earlier. What kind of breathing exercises and when do you recommend they're getting done?
Or just always. If you can only implement one thing, or two things, I've snuck another one in. Breathing and grounding exercises and journaling.
Okay, give us an example of a grounding exercise or a breathing exercise. This would be handy.
The grounding exercise, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can touch, 1 thing you can taste. That will just help you become in the present moment.
And you're writing these down, or you're just sort of speaking to yourself internally about each of these things?
Whatever works. If you're on the bus, say them to yourself. If you're in the hairdresser's chair, just say them to yourself. It just brings you into the present moment where you might have become dissociated or whatever's happening for you. breathing techniques, box breathing. It's very easy to do. So find a window, find a square, inhale up one side, hold the other side, exhale down the other. Or breathe in for 7, hold for 7, exhale for 7. Because your nervous system, when you've got a history of trauma, your nervous system, exactly what you were saying earlier about the fight, flight, freeze, your nervous system is activated, it's heightened a lot of the time. Your fear response is going to be higher. So what you need to do is sometimes just bring yourself down, regulate a little if you can, and move if people can. I know everyone always says this and everyone cringes at me when I say this to them, but anxiety is stored in the body. It's kind of there as this like tense. I think the evolutionary thing is you were supposed to be running away from a lion or something, but it's obviously that's not coming. So move, do some star jumps, go for a brisk walk, get in the sea if you can. Something to kind of alleviate that from your body is really helpful.
You mentioned earlier that there is hope. Lots of people who are stuck in the midst of an alcoholism or any kind of addiction feel like they're stuffed. There's no way out. They need it to live, and it's killing them. What is the success rate of somebody trying to overcome trauma if the right strategies, like the ones you've mentioned, have been put in place?
That's quite difficult to answer because
I understand there's not a number. 87.
There's not a number. 4 out of 5. No, trauma's not something that's kind of gets better. It doesn't go away. It's a bit like grief, you don't suddenly get over it. You just learn to live with it. And then things happen in your life and it gets worse or it gets better. It's not a linear line. So it's kind of difficult to say. But, people have very successful experiences of therapy that I can say just from my experience. I think learning about themselves is really, really important. And the key is understanding it's not your fault. I say some very cheesy things in therapy sometimes. It's not your fault. And they weren't right. The people that told you those things, they weren't right. Because people are walking around with these core beliefs that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. And they need to work through that and learn that those core beliefs are incorrect. And the evidence that they're not good enough, not lovable, have to perform, have to please everybody, have to work until they drop to prove that they're not a failure. All of those things, they're not true. And there's enough evidence that we can find that you're enough. You're good enough. You're lovable. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to please everybody. I think that's a key thing that therapy can really help people to understand.
An unusual thing about your career, I guess, is that your job, if done well, is to never see the person sitting in front of you ever again. That's sort of what you're trying to get to, right? So, when someone decides that they've had their last session with you, what are they feeling? Is it my trauma is done? You say it's not something you can effectively heal from entirely, or you always have it to some regard. Is it just I think I know what tools to put in place or what to do in every situation that might come into my life? Like, how do people break up with you, I suppose, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. How do people ghost me? Well, they often come in and the sessions have got much lighter, and I'll observe, what are we talking about? Are we having a nice... We start to they almost become conversational, and we're talking about all these in a person's life and what's happening for them. And I think, I often start to observe, are we doing process anymore? Are you getting something from these sessions? And when people start to say, actually, that they've got the techniques, they've worked through what they found difficult, then we talk about it together and we do a plan of them going, and then I don't see them again, which is very sad. I hate, but because they're so, the relationship is so important, and you generally wish your clients so much well. But therapy's a funny thing. Some people just choose to have therapy as a part of their life that they include to process the things that are happening along the way, and that's their choice. And some people you see for years, and some people want to have 6 sessions and then move on. It's just a personal preference. As a therapist, I have therapy and will always have therapy because I think it's important as a therapist to do so. And I just find it a incredibly powerful tool that I have in my life, and I'm lucky that I can do that. So it's complete personal preference about what works for some people.
I'd love to finish with something that you mentioned in an email to us. You said that it's important that we reframe sobriety as a path to healing. This goes far beyond just quitting drinking and is instead an opportunity for a deep and transformational change in oneself. You've worked with those deeply affected by trauma who've sought solace in alcohol and drugs for the last 20 years. I understand you won't be able to tell us about a patient of yours, but is there any one story that you may have researched or heard about through your work that has sort of perfectly encapsulated a dramatic change that someone can make in their lives once they come out the other side?
To be honest, I think the perfect example is you and Vic, really. You've changed your lives completely. And if you look at, I think you were described as a normal drinker, but if you look at Vic's life, what she actually achieved and learned about herself afterwards was really powerful and incredible. I think if you can, whether it's through moderation or sobriety or whatever it is, if you can stop using alcohol or drugs to numb your feelings about yourself, then you're going to see incredible changes. It's a light bulb moment for some people that this is not my fault. This was not, it wasn't me. This was not my fault. I experienced trauma. And that's why I've done the things that I've done, and I've sought the solace that I've sought. And once you learn that and you start to learn how to look at yourself more realistically, I use the word self-love cautiously because it feels like such a huge leap for a lot of people, to step away from self-hatred, then you can achieve things that you never thought you could achieve because that voice in your head of I'm not good enough is quietened.
Very kind of you to say. Actually, it is the thing that so many people that I meet who are sober and I meet them for the first time, they always sort of whisper to me that I feel like this is a big secret. Like this is a superpower that most people don't know about. I felt rubbish for years and years and years, and I went sober and I'm doing good, Like I didn't know that I could do well or talk to people socially without drinking or change job or change career or write a book or pick up a musical instrument in my 50s or be the reliable friend or family member. It comes up a lot when people just go, this is not what I expected. I think a lot of people seem to go sober to heal the harm of their over drinking. Like, I just want to fix that. They don't expect to then thrive in so many different areas of their life. That seems to be the recurring story that I see often. Is people are like, wow, I didn't know that going sober would affect this random part of my life that seemingly was never affected by me being drunk all the time. So it can be a beautiful thing that people don't expect, I think.
Definitely. And I think when, a powerful thing that Vic said, I think probably quite early on, was when her therapist said, you don't have to do this,
Yeah.
You don't actually have to go out every Friday and Saturday, not remember the night and wake up and hate yourself. You can stop it. And I think for so many people, it seems so obvious, but it's like a light bulb, like, oh, actually, this isn't just part of life that we all have to do. We can moderate or go sober or whatever. I'm not sure there are any other options, but bring that into our lives and see changes. And that's really powerful.
I think that is the amazing thing that therapists can do, and that I want to thank you for doing what you do, is they say a seemingly inconsequential sentence, like you don't have to go out every Friday, that radically changes people's lives. And I've got no doubt in speaking to you for the last half hour or so that you have had that impact on some of your clients, patients, I don't know what we call them, friends, as well. So thank you on behalf of them for what you do and for sharing some of your wisdom with us. Where can we find you? I know you're based in Brighton and Hastings. Can we find you online? How do we access you?
Yeah, so I'm based in Brighton and Hastings, and I also do online sessions. So you can find me at Kelly_Andrews_psychotherapy on Instagram, where I put some reels up and some information, and you can DM me and any questions anybody's got, anybody wants to have a discussion, I'm in for the chat. I'm always wanting to talk about things. So anyone that wants to get in touch, please do.
Great. Well, we'll leave all those details in the show notes. But Kelly, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
If you're questioning your relationship with booze, you're struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support.
Yeah, just talk to a mate about how you're feeling, contact a local doctor, find an AA or sobriety group. Vic's got one.
Yeah, just head to www.cuppa.community.
Remember, if you're questioning yourself, it might be time to seek support.
Even though this journey can be awkward, it is definitely worth it. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, don't forget to review it, rate it, and share it with your mates.
Do they have to share it with their mates?
Yeah, of course they do. I'm not doing this for nothing, Hamish. Bloody hell.
How do they share it?
I don't know, just write it on the document.
Hey, it's Mark Maron from WTF, here to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. And I'm sure the reason you're listening to this podcast right now is because you chose it. Well, choose Progressive's Name Your Price tool, and you could find insurance options that fit your budget, so you can pick the best one for your situation. Who doesn't like choice? Try it at Progressive.com. And now, some legal info. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
When you think of skyrocketing brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, it's easy to credit their success to great products, sleek branding, and brilliant marketing. But here's the overlooked secret. The real magic lies in the engine behind the scenes, the business powering their business. For millions of brands, that engine is Shopify, making selling seamless for them and shopping effortless for us. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Aloe Yoga uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/retail, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/retail to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/retail.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh, yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
okay,
good. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
his teeny little, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Yeah, go and buy it. Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it. Yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Yeah, buy another one.
Yeah.